Hello and welcome to Pilates Matwork. So in today's class, we're not really going to use a whole lot of props like the ring, a stretchy band, or things like that. So what I'm going to recommend, and this is totally optional for when we get there, is a yoga block. And it can be any height, any kind of material for yoga block you want. All it's going to do, if you choose this option, is let the hips be lifted a little bit higher so you can get a little bit more of a range of motion. But you don't have to have it in order to do the exercise. So I just want to put that out there. We'll use that towards the end. And then I'm sitting on a blanket, a folded blanket today, right here. You can bring in a blanket or a cushion to sit on if you need that, something to cushion knees when we do all fours if you need that. Otherwise, no props are needed today. So just as a general reminder to newer people that are coming in and those that practice with me regularly, always operate in the level that you're in the moment. So if you're more of a beginner, maybe do less numbers, maybe take some breaks. I'll do some modifications throughout, take the more beginner modification. Those of you that are a little bit more advanced, be mindful of that, be mindful of your neutral spine. And you're welcome to move through a few more higher sets if you can do those proficiently in good form. So don't do anything you shouldn't do. Don't do anything you don't want to do, and it'll be a happy time. So let's start in a nice, comfortable seat, whatever that would look like for you. Be where you can be nice and tall. So think about the ears, the shoulders, and the hips. And can you think about maybe pressing down into the sit bone a little bit? So maybe lifting up a little taller here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get into some neck stretches to begin. So even though I'm zipping up from the pubic bone to behind the navel or belly button into the spine, I'm just going to let my chin nod toward my chest. Good. Now, if it's safe for you and you want something a little deeper down the back of the neck, take your hands, let them rest right around the occiput. So right that curvature part of your skull, and just let gravity do the work. So there's no pulling, there's no tugging here. You're just giving gravity just something a little extra. And then from here, release the hands if you took that. And we'll take the chin back to center. Let's take our gaze and our chin right to where your ceiling and the wall would meet. And if it's okay for you, maybe take the jaw a little bit more forward, kind of like this. It'll make a little bit of a funny face, but you get a nice little chin stretch here. And then we'll release and come back to center. Let's take right ear to right shoulder. As I'm taking right ear to right shoulder, I'm really trying to keep this left shoulder grounded so I get this nice stretch to the left side. Options from here to stay. You can walk out those left fingertips. You can extend that arm long and strong, or maybe right hand's going to come up. Rest it right above that left ear. Once more, you're just letting gravity give you that extra stretch, no tugging or pulling. And then we'll release and come back to center. Left ear, left shoulder, getting that nice stretch on the side. This is certainly my tighter side. So always do that kind of comparison. And then you can walk out the right fingertips. You can take that arm long and strong. Maybe the left hand comes up, resting right above that ear, giving you a nice deeper stretch here. And then we'll release and we'll come to center. We're going to take it to left and right, or right and left, whatever direction you want to go to. The most important thing is you want to try and keep your sternum and your shoulders forward. So we don't want the upper body to turn. That's a different exercise. We're trying to keep it isolated and just the neck and the head. So we're nice and tall, and I'm going to look to my right and then my left and right and left and right, and pause, semicircle, taking that chin down, coming up and coming down. Good. And then once you find yourself back into the right, the starting point, come back to center. Take some big shoulder rolls here, forward, really exaggerating that move, and coming back. Good. Preparing the spine for our work. Let's take a big inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale, I'm going to side bend to my left. I'm trying to keep shoulders and hips in alignment. And I'm going to reach, reach, reach. And I'm expanding my rib cage as I inhale. Good. And you might choose to stay here. You might choose to kind of come into a little bit of an open, a little twisty, really taking that right arm back behind you. Or maybe coming into little C curve roll, forehead in the direction of the knee, but not touching. And then inhale and lengthen, exhale, engage, reach, 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 taking that right into the other side, taking it over. Nice side bend here, keeping sits bones rooted, finding that expansion in the rib cage as you inhale. Good. And then you decide where you want to be. Do you want to stay here? Do you want to open towards the back, towards the ceiling, maybe taking that arm a little bit more behind you? Or do you want to find a C curve roll, forehead in the direction of the knee, but not touching, belly button in? And inhale and lengthen. Exhale, coming all the way back up. Reach, reach, reach. Gentle twist towards the left as the hands come down. Roll those shoulders back, maybe looking a little bit more behind you. Careful not to crank the spine. And big inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale, center. Inhale, exhale, taking that to the other side. Rolling the shoulders back, looking a little bit more behind you. And when you're ready, inhale and lift. Exhale, come back to center. And just kind of do some little rolls here as you come down. And whatever direction you chose, just reverse that. We're going to come to all fours. So if you need that knee cushion, fix yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to take my blanket out to the side. And as you come to all fours, think about some form here. So I'm spreading my fingers wide. I'm rooting through the knuckles of the pinky, the pointer, and the thumb. My shoulders are over, slightly behind the wrist. And I'm going to turn my elbows in slightly. Knees are under or slightly behind the hips. And if you've got some low back issues, maybe taking your knees a little bit wider than hip width apart might make you more comfortable. Belly button is zipped up and in. Cat cows. Inhale, shine that heart forward, tip that pelvis back. Exhale, pressing that mat away and really rounding. And we'll go again, big inhale and exhale. Good. Try for 6 to 8 of these. You can keep these at a gentle pace. You can move these up a little bit faster, but not too fast. I'm going to keep mine a little bit slower. Moving with the breath. Good. And then once you've completed yours, really press away, really round, feel that stretch. Think about maybe even a separation of the shoulder blades. And then coming back to neutral table. So we're just going to kind of go in a couple directions here. A nice big hip circle. A different kind of hip circle. There's many different ones that we do in Pilates. And let's reverse directions. Good. And then from here, we're going to come into tail wag. So I will show you this from this point of view, and then I'll kind of turn around and show you from a different point of view, just so you can get a feel for what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, and I'm going to bend that right knee a little bit more. So think about taking that right heel more towards the glute. So as I turn towards my right, then that right foot's going to come out. And I want to think about squeezing the low rib cage and the hip bone together. So you really want that activation and squeeze. And then as I move through center, going over towards my left, I'm looking over my left shoulder towards that right foot. So the right foot crossed over the left, and then you're moving into that motion. So a different viewpoint here, excuse my rear end, but sometimes this is the best way to show people what to do. Then, so again, coming back onto the right, I'm looking to the right, and I'm looking to the left. Right and left. Good. We'll take that 4 times each side. So if you haven't already started, go ahead. Belly button is still in. You're squeezing rib cage and hip bone together. Good. And when you've completed one side, we'll go right into the other side. So. Good. And then when you're ready, find a little child's pose. Maybe decompress those wrists for a moment. Good. And then we are going to come onto our back. So we're just going to do a little bit of pelvic curling here, pelvic clock style. We're not going to do the clock, but we are going to move the pelvis in anterior and posterior tilting. So as I roll or come down here, just kind of roll the shoulders under a little bit. So find that nice wide collarbone and base of support. Tailbone is going to be heavy and connected. Try to get the low rib cage heavy and connected. We're drawing up from the pubic bone to behind the navel. Think about the pubic bone and the frontal hip bones being in that same plane. So try not to have one a little higher than the other. Okay, doesn't matter which end. So try to find that evenness there. And then from here, so this is your neutral. And then I'm going to draw up and in a little bit tighter connection. I'm going to rock that pelvis back. So I'm closing any gaps that might be in that natural spine. So now my pubic bone is towards the face. I'm in an anterior tilt. Sorry, that is incorrect. I'm in a posterior tilt here. And then I'm going to let that pelvis rock forward. Pause briefly in your neutral, then rock forward a little bit more. There's your anterior tilt is what I was trying to think of. Good. So you want to rocking forward in the anterior tilt is fine, but you don't want to create unnecessary tension here. Same thing with posterior tilting. So just kind of take it forward and back. It's okay if you take a little bit of a glute squeeze here, but you don't want to squeeze so much that the tailbone comes off your mat or you find that little lift there. So you want to stay connected. We're just warming up. Good. And then from here, wherever you're at, see if you can find your neutral spine. We're going to do 2 chest lifts and go right into our hundreds. So for these chest lifts, feet are going to be grounded. Hips, knees, and toes are going to track here. I'm going to take my arms up towards the ceiling. Palms are facing my feet. Zip up again from pubic bone to behind the navel. Big inhale and expand. Exhale, nodding the chin. And we're going to lift, lift, lift. And I'm going to reach my arms long and low. My gaze is right to my inner thigh here. So I've got a little chin tuck, and I'm trying to lift shoulders and shoulder blades off the floor. Inhale, lift. Exhale, take it down. Inhale. Exhale, nodding the chin. Reach, reach, reach. Taking that reach low. Inhale, lift. Exhale, taking it down. Going into the hundreds here. Those of you that are more beginners, feet are going to stay grounded just like what we did. Intermediate, knees are in tabletop. You can also be straight through the ceiling. Or those of you that are more advanced, you can take your legs low. The lower you go, the harder it is, but not at the expense of neutral spine. So stay in the neutral spine. If you can't stay in neutral spine, get a back cramp, something like that, take your legs up higher or just take a break altogether. So here we go. I'm going to demo with knees in tabletop position today. You find yours. Big inhale. Exhale. See, curve it up. I'm reaching long and low. I'm going to start pumping long and strong from shoulders to fingertips. Moving only from the shoulders. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, belly button in. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, hold. Lift higher, reach deeper if you can. Grabbing the backs of the legs and rolling that down. Knees into the chest. Rock, 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 side to side, nice and gentle. Maybe head and neck go from side to side here. Good. So we're going to go into roll-ups and roll-downs, and we're going to start that from a seated position. So I'm going to have you kind of roll over to your side and press yourself up, whatever way you need to get there. So from here, I'm starting from my roll-up position. So again, we're going to try and practice 5 to 6 of these. Those of you that are more advanced and know them and can do a few more and can do that beautiful roll down and roll up without momentum, you can go ahead and start those. But for those of you that need a little bit of extra guidance, option 1, your knees are going to be bent. You're going to hold on right here. You're drawing up and in. Maybe this is your roll down. So I'm in a little C curve here. I'm tipping that pelvis back. And then this is going to be my roll up. Okay. Maybe you release. Rolling down. And rolling up. Maybe legs are long. Maybe you roll down halfway. This is where I'm actually going to demo when we do these for real. And coming up. Some of you are going to take that full roll down, rolling down. One vertebrae at a time with as much control as possible. Good. And maybe taking arms back behind you. For the roll up, and again, mine are not pretty because I'm still trying to work through some body issues here. So you will probably see me come up and veer to the left. Just know the true is feet and legs are grounded and you're trying to come up through center without momentum. So I'm going to reach, and I'm rolling over to that left a little bit here, and my legs are coming up, but we're going to come up, and I'm going to roll over, and then maybe if you can do that, you can roll right into the next one. So I'm going to modify here, and I just want to give an example of what momentum is. When you're coming up, this is momentum. So as you can see, I did that. It popped right up there because I didn't use my abs or my core at all. It's cheating. So try to get out of that momentum habit. Remember, if you're like, well, I can't do a roll up if I don't use momentum. Well, then we come to one of these modifications and we work here for a little bit. And then maybe in a few weeks, we try again. And that's how we see if we progress. Otherwise, you're not training your muscles properly if you're using momentum. Good. Those of you who have taken in-person Pilates Matwork classes with me know I don't let people do that. I don't let you cheat. Good, and when you've completed your 5 to 6, however many that you're doing, just take a nice little forward fold here. Good. And then from here, I am going to just do a roll down as I come back onto my back. Good. I'm going to put a bend in my left knee, and I'm going to let my right leg come up here. So my hands are going to come up. I'm going to let them come up as high as they can go. It's okay even if you can touch your feet, but I'm going to get a nice little hamstring stretch in here. So maybe a little micro bend in the knees. And you can point and flex the foot. You can keep it flexed for maximum stretch down the back of the leg. Good. And then from here, when you're ready, from this side, we're going to go into some small circles and then some large circles. Small circles, we're going to try to do 6 to 8 in each direction, and then we'll go right into the large for 4 in each direction. If you need to keep a little bend in this left leg, that is fine. Otherwise, it can be long and strong. Try to keep that pelvic connection. So we don't want to roll all the way around here. Find that control. Drawing up from pubic bone to behind the navel. You're just tracing a little circle. And I'm still reaching. Good. When you've done your 6 to 8 here, you're going to reverse that. So really think about this more as a core exercise about control and less about the leg. And when you do that, you feel it more in your core. Good. When you're ready, keep going with that. Go into a bigger leg circle here, crossing the midline. 4 in one direction and 4 in the other. Beginners, if you have trouble keeping both hips down for this larger circle, then go back to a smaller circle. The larger the circle, the more challenging it is. The smaller the circle, the more core control you might have. Good. And I probably did a little bit more than 4 there, but that's okay. And I'm just going to bring this knee in, and we'll take that leg down. So bend in the knee, maybe hamstring stretch on the other side. Taking your hands behind that left leg, let them traveling up as high as they can go. You can point and flex that foot. You can grab the foot. You can keep the foot flexed. Keep a little micro bend in this knee though. Sometimes on these leg circles, I think it feels better if you do a little stretchy first before you go into your circles and then do the stretch last. And feel free to experiment at home and see which one you think feels better. And it might even depend on the day. So from here, when you're ready, I'm going to release. We're going to prepare for those tiny circles now, 6 to 8, drawing up and in. Nice, tight, controlled. And we're breathing and expanding the rib cage, maybe reverse directions. Think about that neutral spine again. Wide collarbone, heavy low rib cage, heavy tailbone. Feel it in the core, your abs, 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 abs. And then when you're ready, go right into your larger circles. And then don't forget to reverse. Good. And then when you're ready, squeeze that knee in. And we're going to rock to a seat. So if you're someone who should not rock into a seat because you've got some issues in the spine, roll over to your side and come to a seat. Those of you that are going to roll like me, bring your knees in. I'm going to see, curve it up. Good. And you can hold back here. You can hold here. Again, try not to swing your legs around for momentum. Get into your core. Get into the breath. Good. And come all the way up. Good. So from here, we are going to, actually, I'm going to kind of scratch what I have on my plan. Let's just go ahead and rock like a ball a little bit here and find that balance. So if that's not for you, your alternative to get into the core is a boat. And remember, you can have your hands behind you to help you in that boat, but you want a long spine. So we don't want to sink back in here. So that's going to be your alternative. Those of you that can, see if you can start in a little balance and rock. And can you come back up and find that balance? Harder than it looks. I inhale on the down, exhale on the up. Maybe a couple more. I'm going to fight for that balance. Whew. And when you're ready, carefully come back down. Good. Maybe take it the fun way and kind of roll down. So we're going to go into a little bit of series of 5. We're going to come into the single leg stretch here. So beginners, this is going to be you. You'll be in the C curve. Maybe this is you. Okay. Everyone else will follow me. Tabletop legs to begin. Drawing up and in, big inhale. Exhale as I see curve and lift. I'm going to reach left hand for the right knee, right hand to the right ankle, and left leg's going to come long. And I'm going to make sure I stay in that neutral spine. We're going to go 6, 8, 10, and I'm going to count towards the 10, but you stop where you need. So here's 1, 2, 3, hips stay grounded, 4, 5, really pull and reach, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. I'm going to bring my knees in and lower down. We're going to go into double leg stretch here. I like to start this one with my knees into the chest. Inhale. Exhale. I'm going to find that C curve now. Good. Inhale to prepare. Exhale. Inhale, go long. Exhale and come in. There's 1. 2. Beginners, take your legs higher if you can't keep it out of your back. Here's 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. And take that down. And we'll wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Good. From here, you will choose your transition. You can roll over to your side. You can roll up like a ball. You can take everything long and do a roll up here. It will be your choice how you want to transition. And then from here, whenever you're ready, we are going to have a nice stretchy. So I'm just going to face you here. And I'm going to take my legs out wide. You're going to get a little bit more of an inner thigh stretch. Now, I'm not taking this out as wide as possible, but wide enough to get a good stretch. So if you need to sit back on your blanket, you can bring that in. Watch your knees if you're tight in the hamstrings. Big inhale, reach and lengthen. Exhale, hinge and fold. Good. Find your limit. For me at this moment, that's right here. Some people like to grab the legs, maybe a foot, maybe a toe. Some people's chest can come all the way down to the floor, which is fine, but don't force it. Sometimes I can do that, but not too often. Stay with that breath, breathe and expand the rib cage. Good, and then when you're ready, carefully come up out of there. So I'm gonna turn back around here. Before we do that, we're gonna go into some spinal stretch work. So, you know, my feet are a little cut off in the video, but think about your feet maybe being as wide as the mat, or as you can see, if you're not on a mat, just a little bit wider than hip width apart, okay? I'm gonna turn back this way. Okay. So before we get moving here with spine stretch forward, see if you can take an anterior tilt of the pelvis. So tailbone's going to come behind, hip bones are going to rock forward. Let's take a little flexion in the feet, soft knees if you're tight in your hamstrings here. I'm going to take my arms forward. My palms are facing down. I'm drawing up and in. So that visual that I like to use is kind of like you're the anchor in a tug of war game. So you've got that rope wrapped around your belly. People are tugging on you in that direction and you're trying to fold over that rope in this direction, okay? So it's not a hip hinge, we're really rounding. So from here, drawing up and in, I'm really scooping that belly button in as I round forward. Good. And as I round forward, then my gaze is going to be between the knees or the thighs. To come back up, getting to that core, starting from that tailbone, I'm doing that articulation, that one vertebrae at a time, that stack, as I come back to a nice tall spine. Good. Almost think about you're pressing yourself one vertebrae at a time into a wall. And we'll go again. Good. And round. Belly button stays in. And come back. We're going to go for one more. Good. This is one of those, it looks simple. And for me in my practice, it's no longer that complicated as it was when I first started. But it always seems to build a little bit of heat in my body. This is the point where I start to kind of feel like I'm glowing in my face. So from here, when you're ready, you can, if you need to, come to crisscross here for a little bit more stability with the legs like this, you're welcome to. I'm going to keep my legs where they are. And we're going to do spine stretch to the side, the lateral. So I'm going to start taking it up. So this kind of goes back to where we were in the beginning of class when we were doing the prep poses. Both sits bones will stay grounded. So I'm going to take the lateral stretch over. I happen to be to my right first, and then moving through center and taking it towards my left. Good. Now, another option here, you can take hands behind the head. You have to kind of know a little bit more where you are in space. You're less reliant on the support of the hand and coming up. Well, this one's a little bit more advanced. Good, so I'm going to take it down. So operate where you need to operate. One more time each side. Good. We'll take our arms out to the side here. I'm just going to move just a smidge. We'll take our arms out to the side here for spinal twist. So again, we're drawing up. And when we twist, we're not going to do the pulse. So try not to take the back arm forward and stuff like that. Think about you're attached to a rod. And so the whole body comes with you as a single unit. And then just move through center, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Hips stay grounded. Good. Legs stay even. Shoulders stay down. Good. We'll do one more set to the right and to the left. And come back in for a moment. Just let those arms relax. Going into stall, I will show this to you two ways as well. So from the side view, arms, we're going to put everything together that we just did except for the side bendy. But we're going to rotate and we're going to round. Think about that spine stretch forward. You're trying to saw the pinky toe off with the pinky finger. If you can't reach your foot, do what you can. And then you're articulating back up and then you're rotating through that twist. You're reaching and rounding and then coming back up. Good. So that's Saul from that view. I will show it to you from this angle as well. Good. Sits bones also stay grounded here. Good. Staying with the breath. Good. And then when you're ready, carefully, we're going to take the knees in and we're going to go into an open leg rocker now. So it's not real appropriate for me to do a front view of this one. So I'm going to keep it side view here. So again, another option is to just balance if this is where you are. Another option is to find your boat with your hands down or lifted if that's where you are. Those of you that can reach, so I have short arms. So if I'm just balancing here, I can take my toes or my feet and just come out here to the side. So I'm balancing on my hip bones. But when I want to take this into a rocker, I can't maintain good form holding my toes. So I have to hold my shins. So always feel free to make that adjustment if you need to. Otherwise, everything else is the same with any other roll. And you're going to roll it back and come up and try to balance. And we'll try not to roll onto the neck. Good. We'll try one more. Woo! Probably the best set that I've done in a while. Of course, it would be on camera. And then when you're ready, we're just going to take that all together. Take the feet down. We're going to come back onto our backs. So actually, we're going to come onto our bellies. Excuse me. Cross the legs. We've done some, we'll come back to do some more things on the back, but let's get belly down here too. Good. So we're belly down. I'm just going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here, letting everything get nice and set. Good. So we're going to start to come into some extension work. So I'm going to take my hands a little forward to the side because I have a tendency for shoulder issues and that makes it feel a little bit better. But you can take, keep hands under the shoulders, but elbows are down. So think about a neutral spine here. I'm still zipping up from pubic bone to behind the navel. I want to press that pelvic or that pubic bone just a little bit here into my mat, and I'm lengthening the low body. And then from here, whenever I'm ready, I'm going to lift. Now, maybe this is a little bit of a lift. maybe a little higher. Maybe you can lift. Arms don't have to always be straight, but try not to do this and try not to hang here. So always be supported, and then we'll lower down. We're going to do that 4 more times. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. So as you move through here, remember, we don't want to move or extend in a way that crunches our spine. So if you're feeling that you're coming up too high or going too deep, good. And I kind of lost count, but that's okay. We'll do one more for good measure. One more usually doesn't hurt us. And we'll come down. Good. We're going to get a quadricep stretch here. So my left arm is just going to kind of hang out here somewhere. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to bend my right knee. I'm going to reach around. You can grab ankle, foot, pants, shin, whatever you can reach for, and just give yourself a moment to kind of settle. And then when you're ready, you want to try and keep that knee and hip on the right side in alignment. I'm going to think about lengthening through the low body again. So when I do that, kind of think about you're reaching through that thigh towards the end of your mat. I'm going to squeeze that right glute. And I'm going to maybe lift that foot towards the ceiling, maybe rolling the right shoulder back a little bit here. Good, and I'm breathing. Good. And when you're ready, we'll lower that back down. Release with control, no slingshotting. You can wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. We'll take that into the other side. So now your right arm is just going to kind of be wherever it wants to be here, bending that left knee, reaching around with the left hand, grabbing pants, a foot, an ankle, a shin, whatever you can reach for. Just let it kind of settle for a moment. Thinking about that left hip, left knee in alignment. Good. Now I'm zipping up again from the pubic bone to behind the navel. I'm lengthening through that low body. So I can feel that lengthening through that thigh towards the end of my mat. I'm going to squeeze that left glute and then maybe lift that left foot towards the ceiling. So again, careful not to crunch the spine. Good. And when you're ready, we'll release and we'll come down here. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. We're going to come into a reverse clam here. So I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to kind of look down. I'm going to take my knees as wide as my mat. So when I do that, that's putting me a little bit into an external rotation. So I'm going to turn my heels inward and my toes outward as well. And hopefully everyone can touch the heels together. If not, do the best you can do. I'm going to try and relax just a little bit here through the upper body. I'm lengthening a little bit through the lower body. Good. Now my belly button is in, my pubic bone is into the mat. I'm going to squeeze both glutes and try to take my heels up towards the ceiling. So we'll press 1, squeeze 2, squeeze 3, squeeze 4, squeeze 5, squeeze 6, take a break. Can you go to 7? Can you go to 8? Oh, take a break, or maybe go 9. And maybe go 10. And take that down. Release those feet. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Hands under the shoulders. Press back. Child's pose. Good. From the child's pose, we're going to come forward. We're going to come back to all fours. So if you need to bring that knee cushion in, go ahead and bring it in here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to work on some scapular mobility by getting into some sternum drops. So spreading the fingers nice and wide, rooting through the knuckles of pinky, pointer, and thumb. So we're coming into that same alignment that we did when we did cat-cows. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start by pressing away from the mat, but then I'm going to let my chest drop towards my mat. When I do that, my shoulders are coming up to the ears. And then I'm going to press myself away from the mat. So that's a sternum drop, and that's number 1. And we drop 2, and drop 3, and drop 4, and drop 5, and drop 6. Lift, lift, lift. Good. From here, My right foot's going to come back. I am rooting down through that right ball of the foot and pinky side of the foot. Good. I'm going to let that right hip drop slightly. A little bend in the elbows, pressing back through that heel. Belly button is in. A little stretchy. And when you're ready, we'll come forward. You can keep this toe in a small hovered or a hip height lift, you choose, but toes, knees, and hips are going to face the ground. Again, I don't want my right hip to be out to the side, so I want to try and even it up to the mat. And my left arm's going to come forward. What we're going to do here is we're going to do opposite hand, opposite toe tap. So keeping nice and stable, we'll tap and lift. Tap, squeeze that glute and lift. Tap, lift, tap, lift, tap, lift, tap, lift, lift, lift. Stay here, maybe take out for a little diagonal, a little bit more balance, a little bit more core. Press that supporting shoulder back into its pocket. And come back in, and we'll take that down. And wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Take it back, maybe decompress. And we'll come back forward. So we're going to take that opposite arm, opposite toe tap again. So just press through that big toe and pinky toe mount of that left foot. That's what I was trying to say on the other side with the right side. Let that left hip drop. Good. Maybe press back through that heel. Strong, even upper body. Little micro bend in those elbows. Belly button is in. Good. And then from here, coming forward. Good. So a little bit of a hover or hip height lift. Remember, hips are even here. Right arm's going to come forward. Reach. And here we go. Tap and squeeze and lift. Tap, squeeze and lift. And 3. And 4. 5. 6. Lift, lift, lift. Stop here. Maybe come to that diagonal. Feel what fires up here in order to keep you here. What fires up on both the left and right side, the front body, the back body. Build that body awareness and coming back into center. Whew, taking that down, come back, decompress. We are going to come into a plank pose here. You have options. Some people with wrist issues like to come into a forearm plank, but it's not necessarily an easier plank for some people. For me, that tends to be a little bit more challenging, but just know it's an option with knees grounded or knees lifted, okay? Others are going to follow me, coming up on the hands, knees grounded, look for that diagonal line, or knees lifted. We're going to try to hold this for 3 breaths or a 30 count. Yes, I said a 30 count. So whenever you're ready, find where you think you can be. And if you start up high and need to take your knees down or take a break throughout, then that's fine too. So whenever you're ready, find your good form, pressing through the knuckles of pinky, pointer, and thumb, if you're coming up high with me. Good. And whenever you're ready, maybe pressing back through the heels. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Woo! Drop those knees. Find your counter stretch. Child's pose for most people. Good. And then when you're ready, we're just going to come forward and we're going to come onto our side. So it doesn't really matter what side you start with here. We're going to do the same thing on both sides. So just to go over a few options with people, I am going to take the more beginner option here, which is coming down, lying on my arm. My arm is going to be a pillow. Some of you are going to be on the forearm, keeping shoulder back in its pocket and lifting through the rib cage. So that's an option too, okay? Some of you can even be here on the elbow with the lifted rib cage if that's where you want to practice. So be where your level is. And then for today, or at least for these first couple, you can follow me bending the bottom leg, or you can keep both legs in that nice parallel stack. So the hips, shoulders want to be in alignment. You don't want to rock back on the glute here. So a little bit more core challenge, a little bit of a balance challenge. So from here, I'm going to reach my top leg long, which just happens to be my right leg. I want to really kind of think about this area right here. I'm still drawing up and in, and I'm going to lift and lower, and I'm still reaching as I lower. Good. I think this is 5, 6, 7, and 8. Good. Come into hip height. Really tighten up through the core. Watch your hips. This is stability, just like it was when we did this on our back. Finding our circles. Smaller circles, more stability. The larger the circle, the harder it is. Really think about the back as you come back. Good. I think this is 6 and 7 and 8. Good. From here, whenever you're ready, I'm going to flex the foot. I'm going to bend and stretch 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Getting harder. And 6 and 7. There goes my left ear piece. And 8. And from here, whenever you're ready, we're going to extend both legs long here. Find your balance. Okay, to come down. We're really going to reach. We're going to lift and lower those legs together. Then we're going to come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knees, reach, reach. Ready? We are going to come up and do that onto the other side. Good. So I'm just kind of switching sides here so that I don't face the back of you, but you are welcome to go to the other side in the way that's best for you. So again, you can be down as that little pillow with the arm. You can be up on the forearm. You can be up on the elbow. Find yours. Lift it through the rib cage if you're on the elbow or the forearm. I'm going to bend my bottom knee for these first few exercises here, reaching long and strong, drawing up and in. And when you're ready, we've got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Take it hip height. Here we go. Leg circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause. Flex that foot. Here's the presses. And we've got 8, 7, 6. Drive through the heel, drive through the glute. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. From here, we're going to lengthen, lengthen, lengthen both those legs. Find that little balance challenge. Good. And then from here, I'm going to take my hand here. We're going to reach 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Great job. We're going to come onto our back, but before we do that, if you need to reach for your block, go ahead and do that. So as we come onto our back, let's stretch the outer hip first here as we go into kind of our peak set. So I'm going to just cross the right ankle over that left knee, and then I'm just going to come in here for a figure 4 and rock, rock side to side. So nice little piriformis stretch here. This is that muscle that sometimes is really tight. You might feel it catch or rub against the sciatic nerve. And try to keep that supple and stretched out. And then whenever you're ready, we will take that right into the other side. Carefully release, carefully switch. Left ankle over the right knee. And you can always keep this grounded to and press in if that's a better option. Good. And tighter side. And rock, side to side. Good. And whenever you're ready, we're going to go into that little reformer inspired practice. So remember, the block is just an option. It's not necessary. I recommend if you're going to use a block, use this, what I call the ranch house setting, the lowest setting of the block, or what I call townhouse setting, the medium setting of the block. That's just so that both sits bones and your tailbone, all three are supported on the block. I highly discourage this one because then only the tailbone is supported, not the pelvis. So if you don't have a block or don't want to use the block, you can totally be on the floor. I am going to demo in the block there. So I'm just going to kind of take this block right under my hips. Good. So now kind of think about it as a supported bridge if you're using your blocks. So I'm going to start taking one leg up at a time. So I'm in my tabletop position. I'm just going to kind of wiggle, make sure I feel comfortable here. Good. So I'm going to come into a frog position here. So what this is, you're in a slight external rotation. Knees and shoulders are in alignment. My heels are connected. Hips, knees, and toes are turning out away from the body. I'm also tight in my core. So if you're on the block especially, you want to try not to dip down in there. So I'm going to drive coming forward and coming back in. Think about a bend and a stretch. I'm trying to squeeze my heels and my thighs into each other. If it's not possible for you, you do with the best you can. Good. And then from here, take those legs up. We're going to come in. Good. Little bit, another kind of leg circle. This is mainly for reformer. So I'm going to keep this external rotation. I'm going to take the legs out to the side. I'm controlling the pelvis, taking my legs together, just trying to stay in neutral and coming up. And here's 2 and 3. You don't have to be real wide. 4, pause, reverse. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good. Give yourself a little break here. What we're going to do from here is helicopter. So this is one that takes a while to kind of master because there is coordination involved here. So you have to concentrate on what you're doing. So I'll try to talk you through it here. Good. So I'm going to try to keep my legs in a slight external rotation, but parallel is always okay. We're taking our legs up towards the ceiling. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to let my left leg point towards the ceiling. I'm going to let my right leg come low. And then both legs are going to turn out to the side. They're kind of circling around. So now my right leg is up towards the ceiling. My left leg is long. And I'm going to bring my left leg up to meet my right. So right goes down. We take both legs out to the side, circling around. Left leg comes up to meet the right. And right lowers. And we go out to the side, circling around. Right is lifted. Left leg lifts to meet the right. One more time this direction. Right leg goes down. Rolling out to the side. Good. Left leg comes up to meet the right. Now we're going to reverse that. Now the left leg is going to come down and take it in the circle in the opposite direction now. Left leg is up towards the ceiling. Right leg's going to come up to meet it. The left leg lowers. And we circle around. Good. Right leg comes up to meet the left. And left leg lowers. And circle around. Right leg comes up to meet the left. One more time. Left leg lowers, circling that around. And right leg comes up to meet the left. Bend those knees. Take those feet to the floor. Good. Lift and remove that block if you used it. We're going to do one bridge together here. Rocking back, peeling it up. Hips, knees, and toes are going to track. Good. And then think about lengthening that spine a little bit more as you lower down. We're going to do one more. I'm going to give you an option as you rock it back, peeling up one vertebrae at a time. You can stay right here, or those of you that want to try it, really stabilize through the hips, get into the core, small little marching, and a little bit of a lift. Harder than it looks. The higher you take that leg, the easier, the more challenging it might be, depends on the person. Good, one more time each side. And both feet are come down, lift, 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 and we'll rock that down. Whew. Take those knees into the chest, rock, rock, side to side. Choose your transition, rolling over to your side, or maybe you want to come into a C curve and find a nice little rocking like a ball all the way to your seat. We're going to come back to all fours. We're going to go into a push-up series here before we end with some final stretches. So different options for different people. You can do this on all fours, okay? You can take the elbows straight back and come down part way. That's going to be more into the triceps, or elbows out to the side. That's going to be more into the chest. Try to keep the shoulders even. Try not to collapse through there. Some of you are going to take your knees a little bit further back, but keep them grounded as you do this series. You've got your tricep option or chest option. Some of you are going to come up high and do it, okay? I'm going to take my knees down here. Good. And I'm going to demo the tricep option. So I'm going to take my elbows straight back. So I'm turning my elbows forward. Good. So I'm kind of finding my modified plank pose if you want to think from there. Good. So we're going to try to do 4 to 10. I will try to count up to 10, but you stop where you need to stop. And if you only do one, that's fine. Take a break after the one. And then whenever you're ready, big inhale. Whew. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whew, and 10. I'm going to push back and find that break. Good. And then from here, when you're ready, find a seat. We're going to go into some seated mermaids and a stretch here to end. So I just happen to have my feet towards my right. It doesn't really matter. We're going to do the same thing on both sides. But just kind of sit somewhere where you're comfortable. I'm just kind of showing how I have my foot tucked in here. So before we go to that mermaid, I'm going to take my right arm across. I'm going to take my left arm underneath that forearm, and I'm just going to get a nice stretch here. Good. And then I'm going to take that arm up. I'm going to bend, finding a tricep stretch here. Good. And taking arms up, big inhale, good, towards the feet, and release. Good. And this is just kind of workout some lateral stuff, lateral flexion in the spine. It always makes my upper hip, lower back on that side feel better. And one more time. Good. And taking it over and pause. Maybe a final little rotation. And we'll open and come up. Good. I'm just going to lean back and I'm just going to swing my feet to the other side. Good. So find where you need to be here. And when you're ready, left arm's going to sweep on, forward, right arm's going to sweep underneath. Find that stretch. And then taking that arm up, finding the tricep stretch. And releasing here. Big inhale and reach. Exhale to the feet and take it over. And to the feet. And moving with your breath. Good. And then taking it over to the feet. Reach, reach, reach. Expand, expand, expand. Maybe a little bit of rotation here. and coming up. Good. So that was your mat work practice for today. I hope you enjoyed it and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.